In the Hindu tradition, there are, as you know, the castes, of which the Kshatriya is a caste. This is a division of the society, and originally these divisions were brought down through consciousness by the rishis, and later on we'll talk about when those things were harmonious and how, as man fell out of the spirit, they became disharmonious. Man and woman fell out of the spirit. And also in India, there are the ashramas, or stages of life. There is the period of 0 to 20 when you're a child and then a student, 20 to 40 when you're a householder, 40 to 60 when you go out to study and make pilgrimages, do religious study, and 60 to 80 when you become a sannyas. You renounce everything. You renounce all worldly things and all spiritual things, and you become a renunciate. And these are formal structures. Now, theoretically, if you were a Kshatriya at a certain age, there would be a very clearly defined Vedic prescription for what exactly you should be doing today. Just an absolutely clear structure. It's like a grid that's been defined for appropriate action. And Krishna is saying to Arjuna, do what is appropriate. Okay? Now, we in this country are faced with considerable confusion about that, because it isn't clear what we're supposed to be doing at any moment. There aren't clear cultural prescriptions that are deeply ingrained in the society. There are some rough ones, but they're being thrown about pretty loosely. And so we're faced with having to listen to hear what our dharma is, how our individual differences determine what is our suitable duty at the moment. I think you begin to get a sense that when you've got a husband or a wife and you've got a baby, that defines certain limiting conditions or certain possibilities. That if you have certain intellect or certain economics, you have certain possibilities. That if you're rich, that defines in part your dharma. You can't make believe you're not rich. And throwing it away isn't going to get rid of it. That was a karmic act. And you begin to have to be responsible about your money. That becomes your dharma at that point. And what Krishna is saying is, the game only works if everybody does their dharma, so do yours. And that is familiar to you, those of you that are familiar with the Bible, from Paul, Romans. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body in Christ, and every one members one of another. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith, or ministry, let us wait on our ministering, or he that teacheth on teaching, or he that exhorteth on exhortation. He that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth, with diligence. He that showeth mercy, with cheerfulness. Like what your part is, play it. Just play it. Right? Do your duty. And that's the lowest level of the concept of dharma. Find out what your little square in the grid is and then do it perfectly. Why you're going to do it remains to be seen. We're going to be discussing that. But this part of it is, Krishna is saying, just do it.
So I just want to say one little thing about this, which is not in this talk. There's a time that comes in the Bhagavad Gita where, after Krishna has said to Arjuna a few things, he actually shows his cosmic form and reveals the nature of the universe, really. And with that darshan, with that view, Arjuna is able to move forward and do what he has to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope people could understand that. That's an old recording. But it felt like something really important about not ignoring what's happening in the world. There was this way in which we're holding this complexity, which I feel is so true to Arjuna talking to Krishna. There's all this complexity. We're spiritual warriors. We've been training, right? Oh my God, we're on a battlefield. And there was this ongoing conversation, just how to hold what's happening, right? With so much divisiveness, with so much rhetoric, and then this piece that it really feels like, wow, we are on a brink of some type of collapse, right? And I think with that is all of our internal collapse. We have this internal battle and it's manifesting externally. Like, who are we, right? What is our dharma?
I guess we could ask you, how do you all feel just in this moment in time? Does it feel particularly anxious, stressful? Does it feel different than any other day? We've all lived long lives at this point, some of us anyway. And how do you feel? You can nod if you feel anxious, fear, unknowing. You feel good.
And yeah, acknowledging too that some people don't want to feel, right? They might come here and go, oh no, now they're going to talk about this topic. I came to escape that, right? I don't want to bring that in and feel the complexity in my own body, right? And that's also kind of what Ram Dass was talking to when he was talking about like not doing anything is not really an option, like the inactive. Like Krishna's giving Arjuna this teaching like, oh, there are those who are inactive, right? But that's, yeah, so just noticing how you're relating to that, maybe an aversion to even, oh, they bring that in. I was having so much fun. I just want to chant. And we will chant, and we are chanting. But it's like, can we not be fragmented? Right? How do we bring our wholeness? You are Arjuna, and you're having a conversation with God, and it's part of it, right? There's the bliss and the beauty, and then there's this other part that's like, oh my God, this destruction. And I'm on this side, and oh my God, I look out, and there's my cousin. There's my beloveds. I'm supposed to fight them, you know? So it's deep what we're holding. And how do we bring this into our spiritual practice? How do we bring it into our heart? What is our dharma in a moment? So to me, this seems really important to just hold in presence with all of us in our bodies because we're alive on the planet at this time. And it feels important not to turn away, to be with our wisdom and our compassion in this moment in history.
Yeah. I think, as much as we may try to take a back seat and be inactive, the fact of the matter is that we have to live each day. We live in a community, we live with people. And like I said yesterday, if there's any reason to do spiritual practice, the highest goal might be to reveal to ourselves what is our true nature. That might be our highest dharma. And with the understanding that, as the great beings say, like Maharaji said, sab ek, we're all one. But how much do we understand that? How much do we live that inside of ourselves? We feel separate. We feel like we're inside this body. We're related to certain people. We're here in this room together. We're under this roof together. We're doing certain practices together. But we're different also in the way in which we engage in life. And I think, we're really in a space now, and I think all of you feel it in a certain way. I don't want to tell you how you feel, but on a day-to-day basis, there are choices that we make about how we're going to live our lives. How are we going to reach out to other people? How are we going to hear what they have to say? And how are we going to make the choice that causes the least amount of suffering and gives the most benefit to everyone? You know, Maharaji said, love, serve, remember, which is the name of this organization. How do we love everyone? And when I've asked many teachers about how do we love everyone, the next answer is serve everyone. So what's the best way to serve? Whether it's your family, your friends, your community, your country, your heart. I'm just asking questions to myself and hoping that we can all ask these questions of ourselves. And feel free to share whatever you'd like to. But I just wanted to say that for me, the only way that I can find my way through what I experience as suffering from what I see that's going on around the world or with someone who's very close to me is my own reaction to a situation. The great beings, the higher beings like Krishna, and this is a very difficult thing to say because it's hard for me to even understand it, is that actually everything is perfect. What does that mean? Have you heard that before? Yeah. So it's a perfect battleground for us. And how are we going to find our way through this? And like Krishna says to Arjuna, like, you can't do anything because it's going to have consequences one way or the other. So you guide yourself by what your duty is, what you understand as your duty. And for him, at that level, that small cube, as Ram Dass called it, was to be a warrior. And we're all warriors here. Peaceful warriors. And practice is what I need to hold on to find a foundation for everything that I try to do in my life. None of us is perfect. We're all human. We all can be hurtful. We all feel hurt too. And so the practice is to help us find our place into our own hearts, a sense of peace, a place of no fear, a place of openness and compassion with wisdom and discernment and understanding. And this is what Krishna is trying to share with Arjuna in this story, because he is that. Krishna is that. And it's hard to understand that in the mind. These practices come from a place where, as you do them, they blossom inside of you, so your own wisdom arises. Your own wisdom, which ultimately is beneficial for everyone. It's not a thought. It's an understanding and an acceptance of things in a certain way. That's how I feel about what I heard, Spring.
I mean, the story is so, first of all, you had this poem with the Bhagavad Gita, and it's like, that's chapter 1. Right? We set the stage that we're on this spiritual battlefield, and it reminds me a lot of Siddhartha under the Bodhi tree, right? Having this battle with Mara, the architect of all the demons, right? The creator of all the demons, right? The mastermind. And it does feel like, for all of us, we're doing that work of seeing what is true. And I love in this chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that Arjuna is confused. about what to do, because that also is us. Like there's this confusion of how to meet the moment, how to meet on an internal level and then on an external level, you know? And what do we do in this world with all of its suffering? And then hold it as perfection.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the perfect suffering, but it also reminds me of Suzuki Roshi, who would tell his students, you're all perfect, but you have some work to do, right? It's all perfect, but there's some work to do here, right? And how do we move? I mean, this is this ongoing debate, and we keep having it behind the scenes. And we get there's a let's just chant our way through, and other people, you can't chant your way through. Then we come back to, yes, we must chant our way through, right?
I say we can, but
Yeah, and and it's like, well, what is our dharma? There's those who will chant and sing, and then there's those that will enter into the battleground, right? And somehow we're all connected and healing it, and then we're all in this dance with this Maya, this illusion. And from the Buddhist perspective, we talk about conventional reality, and the conventional reality is, my name is Spring, and we're here in North Carolina, and we're at a retreat, and all these names and labels. And then there's this ultimate reality, the Buddha was always pointing to. We're just stars. It's just quantum physics. They're just particles of light bumping into each other. But if you live in that realm only, and that's the challenge, as I see a lot of people that, we're just light, there's nothing happening, right? But there is something happening. And Krishna is like, yes, here's this, Arjuna, yes, we are God, but something's happening and something needs to be attended to. But if we only focus on the 3D reality of this like karmic level, we fight, but we fight in a delusional way. Right? We don't see the vastness of our being. We don't see, and I like that Krishna had to show Arjuna that vastness before Arjuna was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's begin. Like, I need to remember that this is all happening. And we're just rainbow bodies, right? But that complexity, and we put this back on the community to sort through. It's not just like, we're going to tell you the answer. How do we know? We're still sorting this out. This is the Bhagavad Gita, right? It's a poem that is lived into moment to moment. It wasn't a decided conversation fully. It was an inquiry of a conversation between God and Arjuna. So what we invite you into is to have it, to have the conversation, like, who am I? Where do I stand? What is my dharma in this moment? What did I come to bring? What am I awakening? What do I believe? Not in a mental chatter, but feel in your body, right? What does the heart wake up? And sometimes the heart just moves, right? Like we wake up and we find ourselves involved in something, and we pick ourselves up and we're out on the front lines of something. And it's like, how did you get here? I don't know. Compassion brought me here. It's not the mind doing it, right? It's like, oh, love brought me here, right? It's bigger than that. So it just felt important. And I'm so happy to sit with you, Nina, and sit with the community and ponder. Here we are on the brink of this moment. And we all have a role to play. And there will be those who cook our vegetables and make chai. There'll be those who chant. There'll be those who hold others. There'll be those who write letters. There'll be those who are afraid and maybe curl up in their bed. And there'll be others fighting on the front lines. But it just feels important to acknowledge this moment, right? And this dualistic nature that we're born into, the brokenness and the utter perfection. Side by side, here we are.